From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Paranormal Radio with Bob Trisek on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich. So sit back and enjoy Paranormal Radio. And now, here is the king of Paranormal Radio, Mr. Bob Trisek.
Make me laugh with that. The king, Mr. Now I get the elongated Bob Trisek. Thank you, John. It's nice to be back on. We took a summer recess here. We were off for the last couple of months there, and we did the beach and the pool thing and all that fun summer stuff, and now it's time to get back to work here and do some more radio. So thank you for having us back on, John. Tonight's show is going to be a little different. We're really, in actuality, not doing all that much paranormal tonight. We'll do a lot of announcements, a lot of stuff coming up and that we're doing and that kind of thing. So we're doing a lot of that. We do have a musical guest with us also, too. I was planning on bringing some music on, like with some, how I like from time to time, I like to bring the old recordings on of the opera stars and that, and I was going to bring somebody on that had some haunts connected to them. But tonight we were going to actually have two musicians on, so I decided not to do that because I said we might have too much music on this show. But then we went down to one. One of our musicians canceled out. He had a job to do tonight, so he did that, but we have another gentleman on. So I'm going to announce who we've got on here, and then we'll start talking to people one by one. Mary Borowski from the Summit Park District is here, and she's going to give us a few announcements with the Park District over there in Summit, what they've got going on, some of the things they're doing there, and a couple of the paranormal tours and some things related to that one. Miss Arlene Rovner, I should know that name without messing it up. Arlene Rovner is here from the Brookfield
Rec Department.
The Brookfield Recreation Department. She is here. And then we have a very interesting gentleman with us, Mr. Fruitland Jackson. And yes, that is his name, Fruitland. We'll talk a little bit about how he got that name, but that is his name. And he's a very accomplished musician on every facet of it. Blues, just everything under the sun. He does all kind of music and stuff. Like a very talented man, and I'm very happy to have him on here, and he'll do a couple of numbers for us and some stuff with that, and we'll talk with him for a while, and then I'll do a little bit of talking here, and that's the way the show's going to go. Okay, I guess we'll start with Mary, if you want to do your announcing. Mary, welcome back to Paranormal Radio. You're no stranger to the show. You've been here whenever you feel like coming on. You're always welcome to come on. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Bob, for that wonderful intro. Yes, the Park District is really excited to introduce another paranormal tour, which is going to be talking about it's going to be a historical tour as well. So, audience, please join us for an exciting experience filled with which is Bob Trisek is going to be our guide for this paranormal tour, and also a narrator as well. We are going to start our tour from Tinley Park Historical Society and Bachelor's Grove Museum. Here you'll see many artifacts that relates to the Bachelor's Grove settlement. There are a few original headstones on display that were used to cut were at the cemetery. Even the building itself has been a history of its own at Bachelor's Grove. We will visit Bachelor's Grove Cemetery in Midlothian. It was originally a part of a small settlement that was established by 4 single men. It's a tiny cemetery with only 82 plot graveyard that was established around the 1840s. Afterwards, we'll have a lunch stop at the Subway sandwich, and then we'll proceed on to the St. James Sadbridge Church and Cemetery in Lamont. The church dates back in 1830s. The church was first a public structure to be built in that time period. The fee for the trip and the lunch is included for a mere $35 per person. And we're also having a second exciting tour, which is going to be following the month of November. Our paranormal tour will take place on October 14, which is a Saturday. Moving on to our special tour, which is called the Ethnic Museum Tour, which will all have an opportunity to explore many fascinating ethnic museums in Chicago. We will be stopping at gift shops at each and every one of the museums. You could pick up that special gift or that someone that you want them to help you remember your experience, and also pamphlets as published as well. One of our tours will be at the DeSalvo Museum, African American History, Mexican Fine Arts Museum in Pilsen area, the Polish American Museum, as well as Irish, Jewish, and Lithuanian. The fee for all this is just $35 per person, and this will be on a Thursday. It's an all-day trip, which is going to be on November 17, 2017. To make reservations, please give us a call at 708-496-1012, and my extension is 101, or come down to the Park District at 5700 South Archer Road in Summit, Illinois. Again, the phone number is 708-496-1012, and you can reach me at extension 101 for a reservation. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you for letting us have all that info there, stuff that's going on there with that. And, yep, if you want to sign up for any of this stuff, give them a call. And if Mary has nothing better to do that day, she'll be on the phone and she'll talk with you and have a conversation with you. But usually she's pretty busy, so she don't have too much time for doing talking there. Okay, Arlene, you've got some stuff to announce for Brookfield.
I do have a few things. We don't have any interesting trips like you do.
Oh, well, then forget it. We don't want to hear you.
Well, we do have interesting things going on, just not trips. I tell you, I'm going to go on that Bachelor's Grove trip.
Oh, it's great.
I think that'll be fun.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
School has started, but I just want to let anybody know who's still looking for a 3-year-old preschool that we do have openings in our Tot Prep. It meets Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 till 11. You can call us if you are in the area and would be interested in talking to us about signing your child up at 708-485-1527. Also on everyone's mind lately, I believe, is the hurricanes down in Texas and Florida. And as many people are collecting, our VFW in Brookfield is working with the Broadview Fire Department, and they are collecting food and clothing and household items for the victims of these terrible hurricanes. You can reach the VFW if you have any questions or have something you would like to donate at 708-485-9670, and that is the Brookfield VFW Post. We also have a Fine Arts Festival coming up on September 23rd. There will be live music, food, a Chalk the Walk adult sidewalk art contest, and there will be many professional artisans that will have items there for purchase. There'll be painting, pottery, photography, jewelry, fabric arts. So there's a lot of things there. There'll be a craft beer. There'll be wine available. And coffee and food trucks. So that'll be something fun to do. Also, another thing that we do is every Saturday, we have a farmer's market still here in Brookfield. You can get a lot of fresh vegetables, fruits, coffees, just a whole variety of things, soaps and cheeses. And we'd like you to stop by. That is Saturday mornings. It goes on through October 14th. It starts at 7 and goes until 1 p.m. So, you got anything else, Mary?
I do. A couple of things that we noticed that the community and our surrounding community have so much fun doing is our indoor flea market, which is coming up this Saturday, September 30th. And it's only $10 per table, which includes a table and 2 chairs. And if anyone would like to be a vendor for the indoor flea market, please call the Park District and register. All are welcome. Another interesting event coming up that everyone seems to really enjoy. would be our Arts and Crafts Fair, which is going to be on Saturday, November 11. And you'll find the most beautiful items there to purchase for Christmas. Christmas is coming up shortly right after November 11, of course. And this is a good time to find those unique and bargain items as a wonderful and beautiful Christmas gifts to give to loved ones and friends. As well, if anyone's in a gambling mood, well, we do have a special trip for you. We have the casino trip, and we're going to the Grand Victoria. And that's on a Friday, November 10th. We're going to start out at 10 a.m. and come back at 4 o'clock, so we'll be able to gamble away. And hopefully we'll all come back as big-time winners. Other than that, our really special end-of-the-year trip is Christmas Around the World, and that takes place at the Science Museum's Industry. And that will be on a Thursday, December 7th. And we'll depart from the Park District 9 a.m. and come back at 4 o'clock. Everyone that I have taken to this on this trip, the Christmas Around the World, always comes back so happy with special gifts and wanting to come back again for another year. So I've been receiving rave reviews on this particular trip, especially the ones that we are able to see special exhibits.
Okay, that's that for the announcements there. We got enough announcements going on there. So if you're interested in doing any of these trips, phone number for the Summit Park Districts, 708-496-1012. And Brookfield is?
708-485-1527 or 1528.
There you go, any of those events. And since we just did 2 park districts, we got to do one more, and that's the Elsa Park District. And then after that, we'll do the Brookfield Park. We did Brookfield, and then we'll do, I don't know who else. We'll do somebody else's park district in here, too. So we got tours going all over the place. So if you want to go on tours, there's enough park districts around that are running tours, and they're all nice fall stuff. The ones that I've got going on with the Elsa Park District, one will be coming up this weekend. I shouldn't even announce that one, though, because it's already sold out. That's for Geneva, Illinois. We toured the Viking ship, which is a relic from the World's Columbian Exposition of 1893 that they still have, one of the few remaining things around from the expo. And then we give them some time to do a little shopping and looking around Geneva on your own, because there's a lot to do up there. And then we head out over to the mansion, which is a very old historic home, and we have a real nice sit-down dinner there, real good dinner there with the mansion, and then we head home. So that's a nice trip that we'll be doing there with Elsa on the 16th, and then that one did so well, we're doing the same trip on the 30th. Same thing, it'll be the Geneva trip. The mansion also, too, out there in Geneva is also known for some paranormal activity in that, so that's why I like to kind of include that one in it, too, because they've got a lot of things that kind of go on there in that house. If you're interested in any of these trips with the Elsa Park District, the phone number there is 708-389-1003. Also, too, with the Elsa Park District coming up on the 21st of this month of September. That will be a Thursday evening, I think from about 6:30 until about 9 or so. I'm going to be doing a program there with them, fortune telling. All about fortune telling, where we cover fortune telling, all kind of aspects about fortune telling from, beginning right up to things that they're using now, with a big heavy emphasis on the palm readings, because that's kind of what I do. So we do palm readings, that way we show them how to read your own palms. We do a little bit with tarot, talk about the Ouija. I don't use the Ouija, but we talk about it a little bit with this, and then all kind of other bizarre, strange ways of telling fortunes. So that will be the 21st with the Elsa Park District, 21st of September. And then in October, the Bachelor's Grove Tour. We're doing that one with Summit on the 14th. That will be on a Saturday. Also, too, with Elsa, we're doing that one on the 21st, which will be the next weekend, the Saturday. And it's basically the same tour like we're doing with Summit. We'll be heading over to Tinley Park to the Bachelor's Grove Museum and see what they've got going on there. They've got some artifacts from the cemetery, although now they tell me they've moved a lot of them out. Some of them went to someplace else. They're doing something else with them. But they do have some things there, and they talk a lot about the history of the Tinley Park area and that. And then from that, we do our little lunch stop, and then off to St. James of the Sag over in Willow Springs. But actually, it's Lamont. I always thought it was Willow Springs, but it's actually in Lamont. And that cemetery's got all sorts of paranormal stuff that goes on over there and that. And we'll touch a little bit on the Resurrection Cemetery and Bethania Cemetery, and that'll be kind of a good one. So we'll be touching on the paranormal on that one. I will be lecturing on the 19th at 6:30 in the evening, and this is an entirely new program for me that I worked out. I got the idea for this one because so many people said, you do all this paranormal stuff and fortune telling and all that and everything like that, and yet you're a church-going person. And I said, yeah, And he says, well, why don't you do something with that? And I says, well, okay. So what I did is I'm doing a program called Ghosts and Paranormal in the Bible. Because there's a lot of paranormal and a lot of ghosts mentioned in the Bible. And just different locations in the Bible where that's mentioned and how that relates to things. And I'm doing a whole program on that on the 19th of October. And that's going to be at the Justice Library. And that's going to be at 6:30 in the evening with that. So that's kind of a new one that I worked out there, and we'll see how that one goes over. I got the idea for that one, like I said, just from people telling me about it, and I wanted to do it in an unoffensive way, something that's not going to offend anybody. Because you're talking about the Bible and about religion, and as everybody knows, that's kind of a taboo subject, like they say, religion and politics. You shouldn't be talking about, but it's going to be a nice program, and I think it worked out very nicely, and we'll see how that one goes over. And then I will be back at LSIP, or not at LSIP, I will be at Orland Park on October 10th, and I'll be doing a fortune-telling program there with the Orland Park Public Library. That'll also be at 6:30 in the evening, and then 2 weeks later, I'm back with them on the 26th at the Orland Park Public Library, talking about haunted bars and pubs in Chicago. So I got everything covered. We got fortune-telling, we got the Bible covered, and I got the bars and pubs covered. So we touch on a little bit of everything there with that. So October's kind of a busy month. So there'll be things going on with that. Also, too, here with Paranormal Radio, kind of a long-range forecast with that one. Some of the folks, if you've listened to some of our shows in the past, we've had some of the folks out here from the Spiritualist Church over in, they're in Cicero. Dr. Mahela Bacon and her group, they come on like once a year. They get on here, and we all talk about that and their church over there, which they use for their kind of headquarters. And we'll be doing a thing with them. They wanted me to do some interviews of some people. They're having like a convention there, and that will be on March 31st. Like you say, this is down the line. But, you say March 31st, and then you blink your eyes, and it's here. And we'll be doing a thing there with them. They wanted me to do interviews of different people that they're going to have out there. And I said, sure. And then I said, how would you guys like it if we did a radio broadcast from there? Oh, yeah. So they were kind of for that. So I talked to John about that this evening, and we're going to see about that. If we can work that out. So far, it looks like it's okay. But John is going to have some surgery done on one of his knees. So he may or may not be able to bring his equipment out and set up and everything by that time. We're just going to kind of play that one by ear. One way or the other, I'll still be out there doing the interviews, but it'd be real nice if we did the radio broadcast, too, with Windy City. So we'll see if we can get the two of those to click, and we'll see how that goes. Okay. That's going to be enough for announcements, as if your ears aren't ringing from announcements already. That'll be enough with that. I just wanted to take just a moment today because, boy, lately we just seem to be getting hit with all these disasters here in the nation. We have all these horrible fires out west, California, Oregon, Montana. They're getting hit with these fires up there. All the horrible disaster with Hurricane Irma down in Houston, and they're just recovering from that and starting to get cleaned up and rebuilding and putting their lives back together with that. And now what's going on in Florida, they're getting kind of pelted down there. And then, as we all know, and if you're 16 years old or older, we've all lived through September 11th, which happened this day. This is the anniversary of it, 16 years ago. The horrible terrorist attack that we had in New York on the Twin Towers there. And just take a minute somewhere in your life today or tomorrow and just kind of reflect on that a little bit. And don't forget to say a little prayer for all those people, unfortunate folks that lost their lives in that disaster for no reason whatsoever. That just happened to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And say a little prayer and keep some of these people in your prayers and in your thoughts that are going through all these disasters. It's very tough to go through something like this and lose everything you own and see your home destroyed and then try to pick your life up again and rebuild after that. So many charities around and ways you can donate. Arlene gave some stuff there that they're donating at their VFW post. So just about everybody, everywhere, you can donate with that in some way or another if you choose to. And if not, like I said, just remember these people in your thoughts and prayers. Okay, with that in mind, we're going to talk to Mr. Fruitland Jackson. And yes, indeed, that is his name, Fruitland. He spells it Fruteland Jackson. I just want to read you a little bit about him, about who he is, what he does, that kind of thing like that. He's actually mentioned in a book. The book is called Mama Says, and it's all like witty sayings and things. It was actually written by an Italian lady. She wrote this book and then somehow contacted Fruitland, and Fruitland has some stories to tell about growing up and that kind of stuff, and she mentioned them in the book and put a pretty nice story in it. So just going to read you a little bit about him and who he is and that, and then we'll talk to Fruitland. Fruitland Jackson, bluesman, lecturer, storyteller, and an author, is to the blues what Woody Guthrie is to folk music. How do you like that? Performing solo and dedicated to preserving acoustic blues, Fruitland has been honored with the Illinois Arts Council Folk Ethnic Heritage Award and the W.C. Handy Award for the Blues in the Schools Education Program. That's nice. Yeah, he just handed us a little flyer here today to Fruitland Jackson presents Blues in the Schools program. I guess that's the way they go to schools and introduces the blues to kids, because that's like an art form that maybe kids aren't really aware of now. They're into different music, and something that he is very much involved with and likes to preserve, and he's got a big heart for that type of thing. So we'll talk to him about that and see what he's doing with that, and then we'll get him to actually play a few numbers for us, and you can hear him, which is a real treat. Fruitland considers himself a blues activist and performs all over the world in theaters, clubs, cabarets, and festivals. Closest to, however, is the Blues to the Schools project for children, the gifted, and the high risk, and those otherwise challenged. So kids that might be a little challenged with this and that, he kind of teaches them about that. So that's real commendable that someone gives their time to this. Then the lady writes on in here, when she first approached him about the book, he responded immediately and gave me the best definition yet for the endeavors. So we're going to talk to Fruitland a little bit. Fruitland, welcome to Paranormal Radio. It's nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. I don't know, can we hear you?
Can you? How is that?
Yep, I think you're okay. Can you guys hear him okay? Yeah, okay, you're good. I just wanted to make sure we could hear you good there, because for a while my headset was doing something funny there.
Okay.
Yeah, nice to have you with us. Okay, first I got to ask you, before I do anything else, how did you come up with the name Fruitland?
Well, I didn't come up
I know
with
you
it.
didn't come up with it,
By
but the people that
time
named
I found
you.
out about it, it was too late. And people ask me all the time, is that your real name? Is that your real name?
Yeah.
And I always tell them, if I was going to make up a name, it would not be Fruitland. In my neighborhood, it was either fight or flight, and I'm still here. My grandpa had a friend named Fruitland. And they told me when I was little, I used to call him all the time and jump in his lap and stuff like that. So it kind of became like a nickname for me.
So that actually isn't your christened name then, Fruitland, or is it?
No, sir.
Oh, it's not. So what's your real name? Or do you want to tell us?
Vincent Chandler. Sounds like a shoe salesman.
or a character from Friends or something, Vincent Chandler, a movie star. Vincent Chandler Jackson.
No, that's a rare. You're getting a rare secret.
Ah.
Okay, but as I grow older, I don't care anymore.
Oh, so Jackson's not even the last name.
Vincent Chandler.
That's your real name.
That's my birth name.
Okay, and then Fruitland Jackson is your
It's my
adopted name or your stage name, your
Both.
professional name?
Both.
Okay. Oh, okay, I get it. I thought that was actually your christened name, Fruitland. So what do they call you for short?
Fruit Jack.
Fruit Jack. It
Sounds like a cereal.
It sounds like a device that you'd see him selling on late night TV.
It's a little bit from the first name, and it's a little bit from the last one. All my musician buddies, they just say Fruit Jack.
It sounds like one of those devices they would sell on one of those info commercials at late at night. Fruit Jack. Get the new Fruit Jack. It dices, it slices, it skins grapefruits, it peels oranges. I don't know, whatever they do, but that's what it sounds like to me. Okay, so you are very much involved with the blues as well as other music too. I know you play a variety of different instruments.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I play a little banjo, a little mandolin, rack harp, a kazoo.
What's a rack harp?
It's playing a harmonica that goes on a rack that goes around your neck, and it allows you to play the harmonica
You can give yourself a whiplash with
as
that.
well as play the guitar simultaneously.
Ah, okay.
We also call it a Bob Dylan torture device.
Ah, I think I know what that is. I've seen it before. They have it wrapped around your neck. You play the harmonica and you can play the guitar at the same time.
Yes.
I couldn't do that because I don't have that kind of coordination. I couldn't play anything except the radio. That's all I can play.
Well, I like stringed instruments.
Yeah, you seem to lean towards that. I know I've heard you with the mandolin. Fruitland actually is a neighbor. We live in the same apartment complex, so he's actually a neighbor of mine. And we play cards together on Friday nights. And he always brings his instrument around and plays and stuff like that. And I says, geez, I've been working on this for a while with him. I says, I'd love to get you to come on and do Paranormal Radio and do the show. And then he looked at me like, well, paranormal, what's that got to? I said, no, it doesn't have anything to do with paranormal. But I says, I've had other people on here that have, different musicians and things like Arlene's son, Mike Rovner. Mike was supposed to actually come on tonight, but then he had to cancel out because he had another engagement. So I bring people on when we can get them to their musicians and stuff like that that I feel are worthwhile to have on. And Fruitland certainly is one of those people. Okay, blues in schools. Or maybe, we should talk about this book. I've been reading a little bit from this book. How did you come to be mentioned in this book? The author's name of the book is called Mama Says, and it's Maria Valdemi.
I do blues in schools programs. And the purpose of blues in schools programs is to create a deeper appreciation and a greater awareness of one of America's great gifts to world culture, which is blues music. And every year I would travel to upstate New York, and I would do these high-end private schools like the Poughkeepsie Day School, or the Indian Mountain School, or the Hotchkiss School. And I would go up there every year, and I met this couple who I played up there, and they came to see me. And we struck up a friendship, and they were helping me to get work because the Unitarian churches have a lot of music. And I stayed at their house when I would go up there, and I would travel around. I think they lived in Stony Plain. And the guy ran a graphics company, and his wife was a writer. And she was putting together a book called Mama Says, and it has all the sayings that your mother, your grandmother says. Remember those books of soul books they had a series of for the soul? Chicken Soup for Soul. Well, she was going to do a series, Mama Says, Papa Says, etc. And so she thought I was interesting enough to write about, as well as you know in the book, other people. And, well, it includes our current president. And so I went to my older sisters and my brothers and stuff and says, well, what did Granny say? Oh, Granny used to always say this, or Granny would always say that. And I collected all of those stories and some pictures of my grandparents, and I gave it to her, and she put it together in that book. And pictures of my grandmother and the family. So
yeah, it's kind of a nice story. I read through this before. I read when I knew I was having you on the show, and you gave me the book. You said, "Here, I want you to take a look at this." And I read through this, and it's got a lot of your family history in here and all that. You're actually growing up in Mississippi and all that, and then coming up to Chicago, the area up here and all that. And
right.
A lot of your family history is in this, and that's kind of neat that it's remembered, because so much kids today, that's lost. A lot of the family history, where you've come from, and, people know where they want to go, but they don't know where they came from. And to know where you're going or know where you are now, I think you always have to know where you came from.
Well, my mom passed away early, and so my grandmother had to take up the torch, and I have a deep love for my grandmother. And I believe that everlasting life is through your seed. And so as long as I'm talking about her and I always, anytime I put out a CD or something, I always thank my grandparents, and that's my way of keeping them alive.
Okay. And then I'm looking at the back of this little story that you've got here, some of the sayings. Some of this I like. Now, these are sayings that your grandmother was Anna Jane?
Anna Jane
That's
Brad.
your grandmother?
Yes.
Some of the sayings that she's got in here says, you can turn a mule into a thoroughbred.
You can't turn a mule into a thoroughbred.
It says you can. You can turn a mule into a thoroughbred. It should be you can't.
It's right.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought it would say.
Yeah.
I've heard it said before that you can't. If you can put a saddle on a mule, but it still doesn't make it a horse.
But he won't run.
So this is
this
is the same kind of thing. Yeah. You don't miss what you don't measure. Okay, that's an interesting one. If you lie, you will steal. Some truth to that one. Yeah. Never take a shirt from a naked man. Be hard to do, wouldn't it? That'd be hard to do. Talking to you is like singing a love song to a hog.
Okay.
That's an interesting one. I like that one. To work from can see to to work from sun to sun. Okay, so you see with the sun, and sun to sun, can see.
That meant that my grandfather worked from can see to can't see. So he got up when it was dark outside, and he didn't come home till it was dark outside.
That's the definition of a hard day's labor, from can see to can see. Okay, I get that one.
Okay.
This one here, it says, on the subject of men and women, if you find a woman sitting on your front porch, leave her there.
Okay. There's some typos in there. I haven't seen this book in a long time, but there's some typos. But right, if you find a woman sitting on her front porch, leave her there.
Okay.
That's right.
If you can't watch a woman 24 hours a day, don't try to watch her for 23. I like some of these things. I like this.
That my mother was against being jealous.
A woman knows what a woman needs. Okay, we got that. Here it goes. Here's some notes from grandmother and mama on men and women. Here we go. Some more notes here from that. Some more sayings. A man spends his time where he spends his money. Okay. Mama's baby, papa's maybe. Sounds like an episode of Maury Povich. Mama's baby, papa's maybe. It's better to be loved than to be in love. That's kind of an interesting one. Better to be loved than to be in love. I guess to be in love might be a temporary thing. 'Cause you can be in love and then be out of love, but to be loved maybe is more permanent. That makes sense to me. I like that one. It's better to live in hope than to die in despair. Ah, that's a nice one. We must watch as well as pray. And then it says, my personal favorite, God don't like an ugly.
Well, ugly. God don't like ugly.
Oh, this just, the way it says here, it says, God don't like an ugly.
Well,
It
that
says,
"and" was a typo.
so it should
Makes
be,
a
God
difference.
don't like ugly. Ah,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Huh, interesting book. Interesting little book of sayings here. It's all, the whole thing is composed about all these different people, their experiences with their parents and grandparents and growing up and that kind of stuff like that. So, yeah, it's kind of neat. If you get a chance to get a hold of this book, it's called Mama Says. Maria Valdemi is the author. I don't know, where can you get a hold of this? Can you probably buy it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon because I think they took their website down, but I'm sure it's on Amazon.
Okay.
I haven't. This is 2006. I haven't spoken with him in a long time.
Okay, all
But
right.
I keep up with her husband. He has something like this. It's called. It escapes from now. Something Madness.
So it is like a radio
It's
type show?
a radio type
okay,
show.
all right.
And out of New York.
Okay. Well, I think it's time to hear some of your talents. Oh, we're going to stop and take a break. Then when we come back, we'll hear Fruitland play a song for us. So stick with us, folks, while we take our break here, and we'll be right back with Paranormal Radio.
What do you want me to?
Whatever you want to do.
You're listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Tricek from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Tuesday, September the 12th, the year 2017. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois. And now, friends, back to Paranormal Radio, and here is Mr. Bob Tricek.
Okay, we are back on there. That's a fast break for us. We get the break here. It's about 30 seconds or so. But when you get the break, when you're listening to the broadcast on air, because we tape these things on Monday night, so when you hear it, it's a little longer because they do commercials and things in that one. Fruitland is going to play for us. What do you want to play?
I'm going to play a song about Chicago. They're
Okay.
very difficult to write because what are you going to say that hasn't been said?
No, okay.
Okay, we've been living off of Sweet Home Chicago since 1937. And this one is a toast to Chicago. It's called The Windy City. It's fresh out of research and development. And I hope to record it really, really soon. And it's a toast to the city. It took me 2 years to figure out how to write this particular song. And I was on the road coming home, so it was written on the road. And on my way home, and I just scratched it out, and then and I came up with this. I do it in open D tunings, okay? And
Okay, here we go. Fruitland singing
Here
Windy
we go.
City.
The Windy City. A
The
toast
Windy
to
City.
Chicago.
Toast to Chicago. Here we go.
Passing cars in the fast lane, underneath the stars and the gentle rain. My anticipation's driving me, I just can't wait to get home. Been on the road since yesterday, hugging the white lines as they pass away. Just a few more yarns before the dawn, and I will be arriving soon. To my city, the Windy City, the Windy City, Chicago. To my city, the Windy City, the Windy City, Chicago. No matter where I travel or how far I roam, I'm always glad to see the lights of home. Here's a song to my city, upon whose shoulders I stand, as I return to the palm of her hands, to my city, the Windy City, the Windy City, Chicago. Sweet home in Chicago, 5 miles ahead, the place where I was born and bred. Wherever I go, I wear her on my sleeve, 'cause I just happen to believe. The city lights are waiting up for me. They light the way for all to see. I feel the presence of her mighty wind as my journey nears its end. To my city, the Windy City, the Windy City, Chicago. To my city, the Windy City, the Windy City, Chicago. No matter where I travel or how far I roam, I'm always glad to see the lights of home. Here's a song to my city, upon whose shoulders I stand, as I return to the palm of her hands, to my city, the Windy City, the Windy City, Chicago.
There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Mr. Fruitland Jackson, also known as Vincent Chandler, also known as Fruit Jack. Got a bunch of names there. Yeah, we'll give you a second to catch your breath. Are you okay there?
Okay.
All right.
We'll
give
to retune.
Oh, he's going to retune it, and you give him a second to catch his breath there, and I'll talk a little bit about something else here too. Now, exactly what would that be? Would that be I guess a folk song? Not really blues. Be more folks.
Kind of. That rhythm comes from a guy named C6 Steve. He lives in the UK, and he had a different way of playing in open D tunings, because most open D is really bluesy, and I liked it. And
okay, I'm not even sure what that is. Open D?
It's the way you tune the guitar. Most of the guitars are tuned to standard 440. But I retune it to what we call open D, and when you strike the strings, you get a D chord.
I'm shaking my head like I know what he's talking about, and I have
Well,
no
anyway.
clue. I have no idea what he's... I got to retune, huh?
I'm almost there.
Ah, okay. Oh, you can do another number?
Well, if I do another one, it will be in standard.
Gotcha, okay, all right. Yeah, whatever you want to do. If you want to do something else for us, okay. So just a little bit of the talents there of Mr. Fruitland Jackson. Also, too, we got to announce some of the places where you're performing, because I know you do some stuff on Friday nights and that.
Yes, well, every Friday afternoon at noon, I play at Buddy Guy's Legends.
Okay.
I've been performing there for over 20 years, but I do their lunch hour when I'm in town every Friday at noon. And
where are they located exactly?
They're on Balboa and Wabash, right on the corner.
Oh, so you're downtown, down in the city.
Downtown.
Okay, all right.
And there's another place called the Firewater Barbecue, 440 East Roosevelt Road in Lombard.
Okay.
And I'm there on first Fridays, and then of every month. And then there is the Horse Thief Hollow, and I've been basically playing there. I've been playing there for 2 or 3 years, but I'm there. The schedule is changing, but I'm going to be there, I believe, September the 17th. And so maybe once a month or once every other month.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then, just to add some schedule here, the 23rd of September, I'll be going to Columbia to do some Blues in the Schools programs, and also to Jeff City. I'm going to be at the University of Chicago's first annual Blues Festival, October, I believe it's the 14th. And I'm going to be at IIT, and I'll be doing a lecture performance for some students there about blues music.
Well, you get around. Well, you're all over the place. Yeah. Spreading the gospel of the blues.
Yes, just trying to make sure, I try to make sure that young people know something about the music as they make their musical choices.
Now, blues is, what actually came first, jazz or blues?
Blues.
Blues was first.
Blues was first.
And then jazz kind of...
And well, jazz evolved. The fundamental difference between blues and jazz is education.
Okay.
Okay. And jazz is American classical music.
It's the only original American music, yeah.
And blues is an original. It wasn't brought over. It emerged right here in the United States, in the southern states. The blues is a mixture of field hollers, work songs, and religious music, each contributing in its own way to the makeup of the blues. And just around the late 1800s, the music began to mix together. Okay, the work songs were heard on plantations, and on prison farms, and whenever men would be laying tracks for railroads, they would sing work songs. Work songs create what we call a rhythm of movement. Sledgehammers and picks and axes would be used to create beats. Today, rappers go in the studio and they create beats with electronics. But in the early days, they would use the sledgehammers or axes, and they would use the timing and sing between the beats. And that's what the work songs were. If all of us decided to unload a boat and we were passing boxes back together, if we sing, it makes the time go by better. If you exercise and hear music, you can exercise longer. It's like dancing, and you can dance all night if the music is good. Okay? And field hollers was a way of articulating your social and personal concerns. If you may just be walking or farming, and people would sing what they call a field holler, which is what it says it is, hollering out in the field. And some of them are so beautiful. You have to go to a library and get what they call field recordings, which is a recording that's not owned by a record label. And most of them are held by museums and archives. And so people would sing about what was ever on their mind. They were like newspapers. If someone was getting married on your plantation, you sing about it, and somebody would hear it, and they'd repeat it. And by the end of the day, everybody would know what was going on.
So it was also a way of spreading the news around,
and
too.
then there was religious music, which served the same purpose today as it did way back then. It gives us hope of a better tomorrow and a belief in a greater power in a special place. These musical styles began to combine. The field holler developed the throat and the vocal technique. The work songs put a beat in the music, and the religious music made people feel better. And when people listen to the blues, it has a purpose. It lets them know that someone has been where they're going, and that everything is going to be all right. And there was a man by the name of W.C. Handy, who was born November the 16th, 1873. And he heard the blues, and he was the first one to organize the music. He heard it on these farms, and he was the first one to include blues music in his music, his music scores. Okay, he gave it a sense of organization, and the very first blues song was the St. Louis Blues of 1912. Now, they named a hockey team the St. Louis Blues after W.C. Handy's song. He's got statues in Clarksdale. There's a statue of W.C. Handy in St. Louis on Tucker Boulevard. There's certainly one of him in Memphis, Tennessee. And when the St. Louis Blues came out, it was a mixture of big band music and some jazz and some blues. Okay, and people heard it when they heard it for the first time, it went around the world. Queen Elizabeth called it her favorite dance music. King Edward VIII had his bagpipers playing the St. Louis Blues at Balmoral Castle. When Italy invaded Ethiopia during World War II, the Ethiopian war anthem was the St. Louis Blues. Actually, I should play just a little tad of the St. Louis Blues. Now, interesting story. You have to read up on W.C. Handy's life. He was a very interesting person. He came from a rare black family because they were middle class. They had money when most, around the late 1800s, most blacks were just poor sharecroppers. He came from an educated family. His grandfather was educated and a minister and wore the collar, and built the first Methodist church in Florence, Alabama. His father was a minister, and when William Christopher Handy was growing up, his dad wanted him to go to school and get his degree and become a school teacher, which he did, but he liked music. One day he came home with an acoustic guitar like this, and when his dad saw it, he got very angry. He made him take it back to the store, and he encouraged him to buy an unabridged dictionary instead. No son of his was going to be a musician. You know what he told William Christopher Handy? He said, "Boy, I would rather follow you to your grave than for you to become a musician. You are going to wreck your life." I am so glad that William Christopher Handy did follow his dreams and did become a fine musician. He played with some of the finest musicians of his day. And at one time, he was booking several bands. He traveled all around the world, and you have to Google his name, and if you saw his funeral, he knew presidents, he knew Eisenhower, and saw what he did in his life. He was just really a wonderful person. Now I'm gonna play just a.
So how did his life end? Did he end up ruining his life, or did he
No,
have a
he
good
went
life?
blind. He lived a full life and got
Okay.
into his 80s, he went blind in later years and had to have help with his compositions. He played a cornet, and when he was a younger man, how he got the blues, because he was middle class. He didn't pick any cotton. He didn't have a difficult life. And so he would take his big band down to small towns like Clarksdale, Mississippi, and play for the local people. And you got a town full of people with no education, just walking around kicking rocks, and all of a sudden they hear this music, and when they look down the street, here comes William Christopher Handy. These guys look good, clean-shaven, they could read music, starch collars, shiny brass buttons, marching in military formation, and playing the popular marching band music like John Philip Sousa stuff. And sometimes when he would finish playing, the locals would come out and say, "Mr. Handy, can we play something for you?" They'd have washboards, bones, sticks, anything they could make music with. And they start playing this blues sound. And it tickled his ear because he had not really heard that scale. The blues is a 5-note scale. Most of us know the 7-note scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You take out the number 2 note, the number 6 note, and play the other 5. And if you play around with it,
There's your blues.
when he heard that for the first time, he said, "Wow." And he started putting it in his compositions. Now here's a touch of the St. Louis blues. I like to start off with my bass line and keep that going. Now this song was written for a 65-piece band orchestra, and since I'm alone, I'm going to need your imaginations. Now, I need a rhythm section. Hold on, let me just... Thank you. Now I need drums and cymbals. I hate to see the evening sun go down. Hate to see the evening sun go down. 'Cause my baby, she done left this town. St. Louis women with your diamond ring pulls her man around by her apron string. If it wasn't for lipstick and powder and for store-bought hair, that woman of mine, she wouldn't go nowhere, nowhere. I got the St. Louis blue, just as blue as I could be. That old woman got a heart like a rock has in the sea, or she wouldn't have gone so far away from me. 10 verses, and I'm going to stop right here. When W.C. Handy started playing the blues, it caused a rift between him and his dad, because his dad was deeply religious, and he didn't like these songs about whiskey drinking and cheating. But when he became famous, he came back to his old hometown. They say the lines were so large they wrapped around the building. So his dad came, went around to the rear of the auditorium, and hid up in the balcony with his arms folded, wanting to know, why are these people coming here to hear my son? But when he heard the concert and he saw the reaction of the crowd, it made him very proud, and he kind of patched up things with his son.
That's good to hear. Yeah, always nice when there's a happy ending to it. I've got a couple of old recordings of the St. Louis Blues, the original Dixieland Jazz Band, probably from about 1917. But it's not really, well, it's blues. Blues is blues, but it's more upbeat. It's a faster number.
Yes.
It's done a lot faster, yeah. I'm sure W.C. Handy recorded some stuff because he's been around, he lived for a long time.
Yeah, he has the oldest black publishing company in the world. It's probably 86 or 87 years old, or maybe 90 years old.
A music publishing company?
Publishing company. And it's still on Tin Pan Alley, and it's still in New York City, and it's still operated by his family.
Oh,
I
great.
had the pleasure of meeting his granddaughter. Her name was Minnie Handy Hansen when I received a Handy Award, which is what it was called back in 1996. And she sent me his autobiography and signed it, because that's about as close as I'm going to get to him. And then she sent me their catalogs. They still have big band music for schools to order. And she sent me a complete catalog of everything that they did.
Yeah.
And then every year when they do the Handy Awards, she came for many years, but at this point in time, she's getting up there. And But William Christopher Handy was just a very important person in the development of blues music. In fact, he's called the father of the blues.
Oh, neat. Okay. Well, there you go. See, I know who I'm bringing on this show, don't I? There, you got the whole history of the blues. You got a couple of live performances there, and you got an explanation of that now. So you found out something more about the blues than you thought you knew. I know I certainly did. I didn't know that much about it. And interesting stuff, Fruitland. Great. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's where that goes. What are you gonna do? Some more playing here, or what do you want to do? I know once he gets going, he don't stop.
I'm fine. I wish I had brought my tuner because my ears are failing me.
No, it sounded fine to me. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you sounded great. Yeah.
Okay. How about some country blues? There was a time when blues and country music was together like brothers and sisters. Before World War II, when people turned on the radio, they just heard music. There was no soul stations, no rock stations, no top 40. Everybody heard the same thing. And blues and country was together just like this, okay, because it come from the South. And so you heard bass, rhythm, bass, rhythm. Wait a minute, I still sound like I'm out. I better just keep going here. Okay, that's better.
This is the tune-up part of the show here. He's just doing a little tuning here, so this isn't the performance. Just in case you're wondering what's going on here. There we go.
I'm gonna go with it. I got the blues when my baby left me by the San Francisco Bay. She taken ocean liner and she'd gone so far away. I didn't mean to treat her so bad. She's the best girl I ever had. She said goodbye, I'm gonna make you cry. I'm gonna lay down and die. I haven't got a nickel and I ain't got a lousy dime. If you don't come back, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh, well, if she ever comes back to stay, there's gonna be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. Hey, hey. Walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. Sitting here looking through my back door, wondering which way to go. The woman I'm so crazy about, she don't want me no more. Think I'll take me a freight train because I'm feeling blue. Right all the way to the end of the line, thinking only of you. Meanwhile in another city, I'm just about to go insane. Seems like I could hear my baby the way she used to call my name. Well, if she ever comes back to stay, there's gonna be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down by by the San Francisco Bay.
Very nice. Another live performance by Mr. Fruitland Jackson. So now that's, what'd you call that, a blues country?
That's country blues.
The country blues.
That's one form of country blues. If you take the southern states and you divide them in thirds with a cookie cutter, you have the Piedmont region, which is the Carolinas, Virginia, West Virginia. They had their own way of playing. Well, I'm from the Mississippi Delta region, okay, which was isolated from the mainstream. The people who lived there never left, and when strangers come, they were very unfriendly toward them because they didn't want anybody coming down there changing their way of life. And then they had the East Texas Coast region. We have a minute?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're fine. Yeah, we got time. Yeah.
Now, when the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou came out, it created a great resurgence of American roots music. And the Piedmont style is more spirited. It's not the kind of blues a lot of people are used to listening to. And it had what we call the alternating bass line. Now that's the easy part. You put your thumb on automatic pilot, and now you have to put a melody on top of this. What you're going to hear is a little country, a little blues, and a touch of mountain. I do not like this tuning. I'm not right. Come down. I'll try that. Here we go. It's not right. Okay. Last time. Better. You better hush, 'cause somebody's knocking on your door. Hey, hush, better hush, 'cause somebody's knocking on your door. You better hush, 'cause somebody's knocking on your door. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? 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 Don't you move my pillow before you turn my bed around. Don't you move my pillow before you turn my bed around. Don't you move my pillow before you turn my bed around. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? 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 Tell me what you gonna do when death come creeping in the room. Tell me what gonna do when death come creeping in the room. Tell me what you gonna do when death come creeping in the room. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? 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 Now some people say that the alternating bass line played by the thumb represents the unyielding presence of the system or the establishment, while the melody played by the fingers represent the release of inhibition and an affirmation of a blues man's individuality. God told Nicodemus that he must be born again. God told Nicodemus that he must be born again. God told Nicodemus that he must be born again. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? Shall I do? Shall I do? Shall I do? Sorry about the tuning.
No, that was quite all right. No, very nice. Yeah, very good. Very nice. Okay, with that, Fruitland, thank you so much, man. We got the whole show out of you here with that, man.
Okay.
Yeah, you did a solo show there. Great. Yeah, I knew I was doing the right thing bringing you on here, so I didn't make a mistake there. Anything? I'm just going to run around the table here. Mary, anything in closing for you?
Yes, I do have something.
Okay, go right ahead.
Anyone interested in wrestling event? Well, the Park District has it. We're offering 2 shows. One at 2 o'clock, and the other one at 7 o'clock. And it's going to take place at the Summer Park District Recreation Center at 5700 South Archer Road. And that will be on September 23rd, which is a Saturday. Resistant Pro Wrestling will have Evolution and Freelance Wrestling at the event as well. They do have a website that you'd like to check out, www.resistantpro.com. If you need further information. Thank you. That would be it.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, thank you. As usual, it's always nice having you back on here, Mary.
Thank you
Anytime you
so
want to come
much.
on. Arlene, anything in closing for you there that you want to mention?
I
or-
do have one thing.
Okay.
Halloween coming up. We do the Monsters on Main Street.
Monsters on Main Street.
Yes, and
it's a
that
little
is-
kids parade.
It's the kids get to go in costume and go to all of the stores that have a pumpkin in there, and they can trick or treat.
Oh,
It is
okay.
the Saturday before Halloween, which would this year be October 28th. There's it starts around noon. There'll also be a costume contest and free pumpkins, I believe, to the first 100 kids. And in the evening, we will have Nightmare Before Christmas at Kiwanis Park.
Oh, the
so
movie
we'll be
they're gonna
showing
play?
the
Oh,
movie.
okay. Yeah. That was that Tim Burton thing, wasn't it?
was the
Nightmare
Tim-
Before-
yeah.
Where they confused the two holidays or something. I remember
Well,
seeing that a few years
it's-
ago. It's like Christmas and Halloween got mixed up or something.
Yeah, I think Halloween kind of
Something, I
felt
remember
they
that.
were being overshadowed by
Yeah, yeah.
Christmas, so they were going to Christmas Town, I think, to
Yeah, it was kind of strange. I'm not
Kidnap
going to. I'm
Santa
not going
or
to say anything
something.
else in closing here because I did enough of announcements there. And what do we got? I got a note. I have a note here. Roseville Fire Department. This is your thing that you do with the Yep. This is what John does every year. He does this. This will be Sunday, September 24th at 10 a.m. That's at the great, beautiful, old, historic Rose Hill Cemetery. John gets there real early. He goes out to Rose Hill about 4 o'clock in the morning. He's out there. They give him his own key. He gets in. He goes in and out of the cemetery when he wants to, and he sets up real early. He does the radio broadcast from the fire monument there, which is a beautiful monument in Rose Hill Cemetery. So that will be Sunday, September 24th, 10 a.m. He does this every year. He's been doing it for how many years? You been doing that?
For about 15 or 17 years.
17 years he's been doing that, and he continues doing it. Yeah, so that's something you might not want to miss. And they can hear the broadcast too. If they can't make it there, they can listen. They can hear you. Now, how would they hear it on? It will be broadcast live on Sunday,
Rebroadcast.
or rebroadcasted. When will it be rebroadcast?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, when you find out, then just make an announcement on it. Yes, sir.
I want to.
Oh yeah, we'll give something for you too. Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, we'll give. Yeah. So just be on the lookout for that one, and also too, this broadcast that we're doing tonight, we taped these on Monday night, September 11th. It will be heard on our sister station, Jack FM 89.7. That will be tomorrow at 10:30. Is it? 10:30 to listen to that. That's WRHS over here in Norwich. Kind of a local station, so they don't have a real far range. So if you're too far away, you may not get it. But within a day or two, our producer, John Chikanda. Is he the producer? Yeah, he's the producer.
Executive producer.
He's the executive producer. I'm the king of Paranormal Radio, and he's the executive producer. Everybody has a title. John Chikanda, he does fantastic work for the station. He posts these shows up probably within a day or two up on YouTube, and then you can also hear him on the Windy City Network, www.windycityhometown.com. Also, don't forget, listen to the other shows they've got coming up. Meet the Chicago Historians, The Dawn of Sports, Paranormal Radio, that's us. Chicago Junction, that's a neat show, all about Chicago railroading and history of Chicago, railroading in Chicago and the area. The Armchair Experts, and then a show called Wealth and Wisdom. So they got a lot of different programs, and he's got big band programs and everything else on there. So listen to everything on Windy City. And Fruitland, what do you got to say?
I want to thank you, Bob, for
Oh,
inviting
gosh,
me.
no,
it
thanks.
was really nice hanging out with Mary and Arlene. I can be found at www.fruitland.com. That's FRUTELAND, and not those apples and oranges you've been thinking about. And I'm all somebody put me up on Wikipedia so I can be found.
Oh, there you go. You're on Wikipedia, too. Now you made it to big time, boy. If you get on Wikipedia, that's big stuff. Look at that, Fruitland. A very talented man, and I'm very proud to say he's a friend of mine, too. Although we're not really good friends. We haven't really gone like out to dinner or out drinking or anything. I don't go out drinking.
stopped at McDonald's today.
Yeah, we did. Oh, we did.
Did go to dinner.
Now we're good. We're good friends. We did stop. We did stop at
I'm in,
McDonald's
I'm
on the way
in.
up here. So we did. There we go. Okay, so I correct myself. So we are good friends. That's how you know we're good friends. With somebody you go out to eat with, you're a good friend. So
Fruitland.com.
www.fruitland.com.
That's it.
There you go. Find all the information about Fruitland, where he's going to be appearing, what he's doing, and all that stuff. And my gosh, just go listen to the guy. You heard him here, Carrie, like the last half hour of the show by himself. Fantastic performer and an artist in a class by himself. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad I got you on here, Fruitland. Yeah. Okay, that's about it for us. Thank you all for listening to this. Like I said, tonight we didn't really do a lot of paranormal stuff on here. Next month I'm working on getting Ray Johnson back on here because Ray just did a TV special on the American Ripper on H.H. Holmes and all that. And just in case you don't know about that one too, H.H. Holmes, they did go and they exhumed his grave where he's buried over in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania there. And because there was some speculation about him actually being buried in there, and at the when they did this program, they proved that yes, indeed, it is him. They did exhume the grave, did some testing on his teeth and on his, I guess, on his bones, and they proved that yes, it is indeed H.H. Holmes that is buried in that grave. So there's no mix-up with that. So we can see if we can get Ray Johnson on here next month, and he'll talk about that, and we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for listening to Paranormal Radio. It's just an absolute joy doing these shows. And like I said, don't forget to listen to all the other shows they got going on here. And my gosh, we'll see you all next month. Have a wonderful autumn and stay well, everybody.
You have been listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trisek from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich. Paranormal Radio was directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Seconda, and the station manager of WRHS FM Norwich, Mr. Kevin Zeflik. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Monday, September the 11th, the year 2017. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois.